Kalimera, Kalispera, whatever time you are watching. This is Mappa. I'm Stel. Thasso is my co-host as ever, and our special guest is a former Aris centre-back, way before Aris were known as the league champions, yeah?
Way
Roger
before.
da Costa. Phile, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, boys. Thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be on the show with you guys. It's great.
Oh, mate, it's fantastic to have you on, and off camera we were talking about some of your experiences and stuff. I was like, wait, we need to get this on the actual pod.
Yeah.
So before we talk about, Cyprus and your experiences there, what are you doing with yourself at the moment?
I'm now, of all things, in IT sales, man. I'm working for a company called Genesis 10, based in, our office is in Dallas, a nationwide company, my bad. And just in IT sales, provide staffing for IT companies. So way off the beaten path with football now. That's just a long distant memory for me, man.
Well, the thing is, I know soccer is becoming a big sport out there. Obviously, MLS and the World Cup is coming soon. So I'm guessing when you tell people that you've played at a very good level, they're going to be quizzing you, right?
Well, they do. For one, is the minute you have an accent over here, immediately you have some credentials. So it can go both ways. You've got to be able to back it up. But yeah, we get quizzed a bunch, and there's a lot of curiosity. When you mentioned playing in I mentioned South Africa or wherever else you play, but the minute you mentioned Greece or Cyprus, everybody's ears kind of perk, like, what? How was it living? Like, it's kind of intriguing. It's like you get asked a lot more questions with relation to that area. So, yeah.
I need to ask something. It might sound a little bit strange, but do you get annoyed if people compare you to Trevor Noah because of the accent?
No, I don't get Trevor Noah too much. I get get asked about Elon Musk a lot, and if you kind of want to, a little bit of banter, I'll just say, we grew up down the road from each other and all that. And I mean, I've never met the dude in my life, but you just go with it. You keep a straight face, people believe it. But it's more Elon Musk than Trevor Noah, really. I haven't heard that in a while, actually. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go back to your days in South Africa, because if I'm not mistaken, you were born in '86.
Yep.
And 10 years later, South Africa won their first Africa Cup of Nations, and there's a couple of players I was telling Thasso who I know personally. One of them in particular, Sean Bartlett, who played in the tournament. What was it like growing up? Because I'm assuming that you were a football fan.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, man. Growing up, I mean, again, watching those guys. It was a unique time in the country because we had the Rugby World Cup the year before, with the apartheid and all that ending, and that kind of united the country. And then a year later, you had, Bafana, the soccer team, winning the AFCON for the first time. So that was like prime. I mean, I was 10 years old at the point, and you're looking at these Sean Bartletts and Mark Fish, all those kind of guys, like these are these are your heroes, and was lucky enough later on. Played against Sean near the end of his career. He came back from Charlton, I think, and signed for Kaizer Chiefs. Yeah. And it's humbling in a way because he was past his prime and I was kind of on the up and up and just got bullied, to be honest. Just bullied. I'm like, Sean. So, but an honor to just share field with your boyhood heroes. You know what I mean? It was great time.
Yeah, and I think it's quite ironic or poetic that Sean's former teammate, Mayambela, I think his son plays for Aris at the moment.
So
is it his
Mark,
brother?
Mark's Mislali, who's at Aris now, his older brother, Mark Mayambela, played. I don't think he played with. I played against Mark, and we'll tell you, a nightmare to play against. Just skillful, man. Just absolutely take the piss out of you when he wanted to, like ridiculous. But I think he's busy with his UEFA badges now. His older brother, Mark, I know him pretty well, and his younger brother's at Aris now, so he's flying the South African flag proudly there for the boys. It's good.
Absolutely. So, in terms of your heroes growing up, who do you remember like looking at? Because you were a defender, so I'm not thinking that you admire someone like Baresi, for example. Yeah. But in terms of
Radaby. No?
Well, Lucas, absolutely. Lucas, for sure. I mean, that's the boss. On an international scale, Maldini was my guy, man. I named my first dog after him. As a defender, as a defender, who doesn't dig Maldini? I mean, that was the king. But yeah, Lucas Radebe, Nassif Morris was, growing up. He played. I think he was at Apollon. He came to Apollon. He was at Panathinaikos for many years. Top defender, man. Good guy. Mark Fish was one of them as well. So yeah, I mean, locally, those would have been my guys that I looked up to. Lucas, though, was the man. He was just different level, man.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I remember talking to Mark Fish a couple of years ago, and he'd tell me about meeting Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at Mark Fish, who's a South African football legend,
Yep.
and the way that he spoke about Mandela, you're like,
yep.
this guy obviously had a bit about himself for people to be in awe of him.
Man, you know, I got called up for we had once a year they do a Nelson Mandela Challenge or Nelson Mandela Cup. It's like an international friendly in his honor. And I got called up into the provisional squad. I wasn't in the match day squad. I was still pretty young. So I was part of the training squad. And before the game, I think it was actually, we were playing against the US. And we were all in the convention room in the hotel. Both teams were in there kind of socializing. And we knew we were going to meet him that day. And so we were all talking. And I remember my back was to the door and he had entered the room. I didn't see him. And you just felt everything change, man. Like I actually get my hair stand up speaking about it. Like his wasn't human, man. It was like something, it was a different out of body experience that it was unbelievable. I can't put into words how special that was. And what struck me about him is he greeted every single person by name. He knew, he woke, wow. he shook our hand and he knew every single person in that room's name. I was like shaking his hand. I'm like, Mandela knows my name. Like, this is it. I've made it.
I'm never washing my hand again.
Yeah, I've made it. This is it. So yeah, it was special. But yeah, I mean, Mark Fish was, I mean, he's an icon back home. And you know, so I mean, for him, you know, it would be like when I first met Mark, I was in awe. So Mark meeting Mandela is in awe. You just, it's mind blowing. The man was special, man. The man was special.
Absolutely. So you were telling us before we started recording that you went to the United States on a scholarship to play football out there, or soccer, should I say?
Yeah, soccer.
Yeah, go on. So what was that experience like?
It was unique in a way that as a pure soccer or football fan and lover, you know, I was coming over here to make something of myself and play soccer. Whereas when you get here, you learn it's school first and sports afterwards. So that took me a bit longer to wrap my head around. The grades the first 2 semesters weren't great. The football was wonderful, but it took me a while to realize that it was about the school. But it was a good experience, man. Kind of molded me into who I am off the field. Gave me some form of discipline and grounding. You know, just the lessons I learned at college over here. So yeah, it was an important phase. Good level of soccer as well. I mean, there's a lot of internationals that come over here. At the school I was at, we had myself, we had Dom Dwyer, who's now, I mean, he blew up for a while in the States. Yeah. He was married. Yeah, Dom Dwyer was at our school. David Soma, who played for Leeds United a couple of years back, South African international striker for Leeds. I think he was the leading goal scorer in the championship that year. It was about 4 or 5 years ago now. He's actually up in New York now. So we had a power program, man, just top players. So the level of football was really good, and kind of gave you a springboard into the professional realm because you were training every day. You know, the gym training and the strength training and that is different level in the States. I mean, it's second to none. So that gave you a good springboard into the professional ranks.
So what is it that made you go back? Because I would assume that you'd want to carry on playing maybe either in NCAA or even maybe MLS or USL. I don't know what it was called back then, actually. It wasn't USL, was it?
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, it was USL. Obviously, the MLS was around, but the USL. But back then, the USL was kind of your under-23 league, kind of a development league. But what made me go up, I mean, I was done in 2008 and wanted to get back and try get exposure, try break into the World Cup squad, man. The World Cup was at home in 2010, so trying to get exposure and get all that done. But that was on deaf ears, wasn't it? Didn't make the grade, did I?
Well, yeah. Well, they had the, was it the National Independent Soccer Association, which I think has that disbanded now?
National,
is that still going on?
Is that the
NISL?
Yeah, I think the USL's either swallowed that up. I know the MLS has now bought the US. I mean, I think what it's looking like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but at some point they may be going to a relegation promotion thing. I think once
They need it.
they tap it, and that's just my opinion, you know, just looking at, you know, the USL was an independent league. The NASL was an independent league. You know, they had 3 or 4 little pro independent leagues, and the MLS has now bought the USL, so they own the USL, and a lot of their reserve teams are playing in the USL, you know, kind of like a development league per se. So I don't know if they're going to, once the full expansion of the MLS has capped out, because I think every year they've, you know, there's 1 or 2 more teams coming in. So I think at some stage when that caps out, they may go into a promotion relegation system, which will be good. I think it'll be great.
Yeah, they certainly need it. I mean, you're right. In USL, they do have B teams, or what they call feeder clubs. So I think LA Galaxy have got LA Galaxy 2, whereas if I'm not mistaken, Atlanta have an affiliation with Charleston Battery, I think.
Yeah, there's a few that have affiliations with other teams. FC Dallas now has their little affiliated North Texas Soccer, and what that's doing is kind of killing the college system here now, because instead of those top 18 to 20-year-old players going into college on scholarships, the pro teams are snapping them up, chucking them a entry-level salary, and then just loaning them out to their, you know, their affiliated team or whatever. And, you know, for a young kid, it's like, hell, do I sign a pro contract or go to college? I mean, you know, for a football guy, that's a no-brainer. Of course, they're going to want to play. So that's kind of killing the college system a little bit. Your better players are skipping the college system now.
Yeah. Well, we've seen one Omonia player, SAVVA. He's only 18, 19.
Yeah.
And he's actually going to the United States now, to Harvard, to study engineering.
Oh my God.
So that's a big thing for Cyprus, as you can understand.
Yeah,
so
that's massive, man.
What can he expect out there?
What can he expect in terms of obviously it will be an adjustment in terms of the demand in the classroom. I mean, the professionalism and, how do I say it, business acumen over here, the pace of things that are required is a lot quicker than he would be used to, you know, just in terms of deadlines on his project, you know, just I'm talking purely academic at a place like Harvard. There's no room for error, should I say. It's very cutthroat, especially if they're investing a bit of money in him in terms of a scholarship, which I would assume they are. But on the football side of things, I think he's going to be just fine. You know, the level in Cyprus was good. It's way above college level. Yeah, I would say, you know, the MLS is getting better, but you know, him coming from a club like Omonia, I think he'll be one of the better players, not only in his team, probably in the NCAA, to be honest with you. Well,
it'll be interesting to see how he gets on, because we've got another lad that's I think, is it Jacksonville? I think.
Okay.
Alex Yeridis, he was actually in Upwell's academy, then went to Omonia 29, and now he's out in the United States, and he's been there for the past year and a half.
Okay.
And he's a good winger, and he's been doing well. In fact, this is his second time out in the States, because I think the first time he went out there, he managed to get a passport, and he went back to Cyprus to play. So clearly there's that enjoyment factor, and with it being the United States, I mean, look, no disrespect to Cyprus, it's an island with 1 million people.
Sure.
Against the United States, where you got one state that's probably got 10 million.
Yeah,
you know, so,
it's wild. Yeah, it's wild. Well, I mean, like we were saying before we started recording, is you know, just in terms of, like in Dallas alone, the youth soccer, there's 1.2 million kids playing on a weekend. Just in that's just kids. That's bigger than the size of, you know, the population of Cyprus, and that's just youth football. So it's everything is a bigger and faster scale compared to what they would be used to in Cyprus. And that being said, you know, Cyprus is an island. Hey man, the lifestyle's great over there, dude. Like it's the best. It's probably the best, one of the best periods of my life was living there. It's great.
All right, well, let's talk about that then, because tell us how you ended up in Cyprus. I'm sure there's a story.
Yeah. I mean, after college, I went back to South Africa and played for a club called Morocco Swallows, which is traditionally Orlando Pirates and Morocco Swallows are the 2 oldest clubs in the country. So that's like the original Soweto derby per se. And I played there for a number of years, and there was 2 Cypriot brothers in South Africa, Mario and George Morfu, that owned a club called Black Aces. and they had been trying to sign me for a year or two. Eventually buckled in and went and joined them signed for a season with Dino and Lovu, who went to North Sea. The same year I joined Aris, Dino went to North Sea. So it was through the Cypriot brothers connection that we got transferred to Cyprus.
Now, how did the trajectory go? Because I don't think there's a direct flight that goes from South Africa to Cyprus, is there? So you probably have to stop off at like 3 or 4 places to get there.
I'll be honest, I can't remember it now. Where was it? I think Dubai first, which wasn't too bad. Dubai.
I'd have stayed there. I'd have stayed in Dubai.
Well, you say that until you get to Cyprus, man. Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
I was there for the thought crossed my mind. Once you start shopping and seeing the place, you're like, yeah, it's not too bad. Maybe find a club out here and just chill out in Dubai. But no, I remember landing in Cyprus and funny enough, the first coach that was there, Aki, what was his last? I can't remember his last name, but he actually 2 or 3 years prior to coached the team in South Africa. So he was the guy that was trying to sign me from Morocco Swallows, just because of the physicality. It's a very different style in South Africa as opposed to Cyprus. The soccer is a lot faster in South Africa, but not as tactical and physical. Whereas you get to Cyprus, I remember playing against Dino the one day against the North Sea in Larnaca, and that was the first time that I realized, like, I may not make it out of the stadium today, man. These people are crazy in terms of, just warming up, and there's bombs and flares in the stadium. I remember we were like defending a corner and someone lit like a flare, like a bomb or a cracker or whatever it was. And I just heard this loud bang behind the goals and like crap myself. I'm like, oh boy, this is it. This is it. Do not win this game. So it was a unique experience, man. Just the passion of the people towards football there was something new to me coming from Africa. It was just wild at first, and you get used to it. And when you were playing at home, it's great, your own fans. But when you're playing away, yeah, you get a little nervous there. It definitely is a factor.
Well, I mean, go on.
Did you ever hear the term "This is Cyprus"?
Yes. Yes. Always.
So you know that whenever you can't explain something, the simple answer is "This is Cyprus." Hence the reason why our show is called "This is Mappa." Mappa is the Cypriot word for football, right? So when you first stepped off the plane, you got into Cyprus. I'm sure you saw some very strange things that you haven't been used to. Were there any bizarre incidents that you can tell us about when you were out there? Long list, right?
Yeah. Where do I start, man? For one is I remember first, obviously coming from the airport. Aki, the coach, picked me up, and we were driving from Larnaca back to Limassol, and again, just no regard for rules of the road. And that was my first. I was like, what the hell? Like, people you're roundabouts and stuff. And I'm like, we got to get there. Let's just get there, get me safe. And it was wild. That was my first initial thought. But got to Limassol, and I remember the first time meeting our president back then. What was his name? Stavros Dimitrios, who the man scared the bejesus out of me, man. He was something. But first time I met him, I was there for a week, right? And I just got to meet a couple of the players that were there. And we then ended up going to Italy on preseason, to Milan. So I hadn't met him yet. And so anyway, we all flew to Milan for preseason. And I was rooming with a Yugoslavian, Serbian guy, Goran. He was a striker. I can't remember if he signed or not. He was there on trial, but we were in the room together. And this is the day of the game. We're busy. We were about to play Livorno. Christian Panucci was the coach of Livorno, ex-Real Madrid player. So, as a defender now, you getting your mind right. You're thinking, shit, I impress Panucci. Maybe, you never know what happens. He's a legend. So I get a call couple of hours before the game and to go up to Stavros's room. And now this is the president of the club. This is the boss. So, you're a little nervous meeting the big man. I walk in there and this man's sitting there in his Rolex and his underpants, man, just like, hey, what's like, I'm like, and I remember because I'm a watch guy, like what? And I just remember, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's cool to me. So that was my first my first meeting with the board per se.
Oh my God.
Yeah. This is Cyprus, right? Like you said, this is Cyprus.
Yeah. And to make it worse is that he was in Italy behaving that way.
Right. Man, okay. It was so. Yeah, we play and we got back from Italy. We were there for a couple of weeks, and I was impressed with the setup and that. Then, just in terms of the attention to detail with regards to practices and the preseason. I mean, it was the fitness. Our fitness coach, I think his name was Yanni. Just his attention. Like I've never been fit in my life, man, and you never felt like you were doing fitness, but when it came time for it, you were in top shape, man. I was really impressed with the training program and the setup over there. To be honest with you, it was good.
Yeah, we don't normally associate the level Aris were at that time with necessarily the quality that they have at the moment. So to hear that is a welcome surprise.
Well, it's kind of bittersweet and a double-edged sword because he was at that time trying to do the right things. I think when we were there, he relayed the training pitch next to Tyrion Stadium. He rebuilt I think we used to train we used to change inside the stadium in the locker room there. But he built a new locker room that's now at the field while we were there. So trying to implement the right things and do the right things off the field. But then there was some wild stuff going on, man. There was some dodgy things that I heard through betting and all these kind of things that weren't involved with. But it got weird, man. It got weird. So that's why I say double-edged sword, because our trainers were top-notch. The backroom staff were top-notch. Physios, doctors were top-notch. The training sessions were good, intense, good group of players, but then there was some wild stuff going on in the boardroom.
Yeah, I mean, it's we like to think that that has kind of gone by the wayside as the football has developed. But I don't know if you've been keeping an eye on the news over the last month or so.
I have not.
There's the government's getting involved because the old president of the republic stopped it. It's been reported he stopped the president of the ethics committee from investigating a match because it was a friendly. So and Olympiacos Lefkosias has been fined €50,000 for their involvement in a game that was involved in the relegation fight.
Sure.
So they're trying to. They're trying to stop it because obviously there's this ethics committee that wasn't there before. Yeah. But it seems this ethics committee up to last season was kind of chained to the system. That seems to have changed slightly now, and to the point where the government is actually holding is holding trials and whatnot to find out what the hell's gone on. Yeah. So
it's wild, man. And that's why I say, I mean, you don't want to focus on the negative stuff with Aris now, because it's I'll just say that's why at the time he was trying to implement the right things and do the right things, which he did. You know, that locker room still there, the field, and those sort of things, the staff he had on. So it was from a football point of view, it was refreshing. It was good. I also didn't realize how, again, this is how serious I knew the local derbies were back then. You always know you always know it's pretty serious. But the first game we played against IL. We beat them 2-1. And funny, myself and Steve Borg, the other centre back, scored. He was from the Maltese national captain. Yeah. And the two and Pulpo Gonzalez, the striker. I think we won 3-1. So two centre backs scored that day against IL. So we would go to the supermarket the next week, and because we lived close to each other, Steve and I, we were good buddies. So then it was nice, and everybody's like, yeah, it's great, whatever the case was. Then we play against Apollon, and we lost 1-0. It was a Sunday night, and the next day, Steve and I went to the beach, and we just had ice creams on the beach, and he posted a picture on Instagram, the two of us laying there with the ice cream, and we had to go to training we had to go to training that night. And so we don't know what's going on. We arrive at training, and Stavros is there, and he calls us aside. He goes, I mean, with stronger language, but you think this is funny? And we were like, we don't know what the hell's going on. Like, what's going on here? Anyway, someone had taken that picture and put on the front page of like the local paper or something. And it was like, Aris players lose, but go out celebrating. And it's me and him on the beach with an ice cream. And I'm like, oh my God. So that was a harsh lesson. Since after that, we were like, win or lose, there were no pictures. It was like a new unwritten law, no pictures.
Is that why you've never posted on your Instagram?
I'm not on there, man. I'm not on Instagram anymore. But if I was, that would be a PTSD moment for sure.
It would still have a photograph of you eating an ice cream.
Hide the ice cream behind your back or something, man. In the back of my mind, what would Stavros do? That's what I would be thinking. Oh man.
Do you remember which part of Limassol you were staying at?
I was man. Do you know where I was? Right by the fire station. I remember that. Okay. I'm trying to think. There was a hotel near me. I think it was a Holiday Inn, and there was an Italian restaurant like on the main road. But I was like I was in the building right behind the fire station. That's all I remember. I can't remember what road or any of that on, but I mean, I had a nice view of the beach. It was great. What I do remember is they were busy building some oval kind of building. I think it's finished now. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I forget the name of it, but I know.
Okay, so that was like a block. That was like a block away from me because I would be trying to have a nap after training or something, and there was no chance of that happening with the building going on. So yeah, it was pretty near that building.
I was trying to pinpoint exactly where you are because I think the fire station ain't far from the marina, which they've done up since.
The marina was good, man. We had some good time. I mean, we had like it was Steve Borg, Marco Margoudakis, Roger Guerrero was there, Marco Aurelio, KYPROS. I think he's at AYIA Larnaca now, right back. KYPROS, what's his last? Christoforou, I think.
Yeah.
That was like our little group, man. We were like family. We were inseparable, and we would go to the marina often and just go hang out, have ice creams with no pictures. And there was a place there. Is it the Gyros? It was they used to put fries and stuff in there. I don't know what was in that thing, but it was and the sauce. I mean, we should not have been eating that, but we would go have one, like sneak one of the five of us, and that was about the extent of. I mean, we would have our nights out, but in terms of body fat and all that, that was like the forbidden fruit that we were busy having, just to go have like fries and a gyro down at the marina. But it was good, man. Good times.
So did you go down Yermasoya where all the clubs are and everything, all the bars?
Yeah, now and then.
Galadexas.
What was that? Guaba Beach Bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that was the first place they took me, and that was like on the beach. I was like, this is unreal. This is like, yes, I can do this. I can do this. On occasion. No, it was a good time, man. It was a good time. I'll tell you what is from a professional point of view, it's you have temptations and all that sort of thing, and it's just living in Cyprus on the beach and just the lifestyle alone. You've really got to have your head screwed on straight, because you could get into trouble quite easily over there with the restaurants and all that thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's one guy who seems to be who's here at the moment who will not stay out of trouble.
Well,
we won't mention his name because we don't want the trouble.
Fair enough.
People know who we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes they do a report of like, there's somebody got done in a club. it's the person everybody's thinking of, and then they leave.
He's been posting ice creams in the club, huh? He's got to stay away from. He's got to stay away from those ice creams. They'll get you.
He's been locking himself in toilets in clubs as well to get away from people. So
well, the boy don't help himself, does he?
No, not at all.
He does not.
At all.
He does not.
It gives us more content though, so I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Kind of strange. Well, we'll miss him if he leaves the island, but
he's not leaving. Anyway. He's not leaving.
No,
he ain't going. That island.
Anyway.
It's hard to leave that place. It's again, like I say, is you get asked about your footballing memories and that, and the minute you mention Cyprus or Greece, that area, people's ears perk up. It's like intriguing. It's the unknown and people. Again, in my opinion, the football. I mean, it's a good level of football. I mean, there is a gap between the big teams and the smaller, the teams coming up, which it's normal, just in terms of budget, quality. I get all that. But it's a good level of football. And the fans are passionate as hell, man. Just love it. It's in their vein. Like, you just absolutely love football over there. Live and breathe it. Yep.
You mentioned the fans, but in terms of Aris and their fan base, was it a big fan base? Do you remember?
It wasn't at the time. I don't know if it's grown since, but it was a very close-knit group. It was a big. They were like an extension, like a big family, really. I know a lot of them were older crowd. I guess Aris, just the history of the club, but we were pretty close with the fans because we would do a lot of things. When I say community stuff, they had their own little clubhouse. I can't remember where it was in LIMASSOL, but after training, the whole squad would go sit with their clubhouse and they would be grilling, barbecuing some meat, and we would eat with the fans. So we had a close relationship with the fans. It was good. It was nice. It was pretty refreshing, to be honest. Good people.
And what was the plan for the club? Because back then there were many clubs that were challenging for the title. I think Upwell were dominating at the time, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not to see what up there, or Money were there or thereabouts. Yeah, but in terms of Aris, and he's an Upwell fan.
Man.
In terms of Aris and I'd say their plans or their ambitions. Mm-hmm. How was the club sold to you in that respect?
Well, it was sold in, with a new owner coming in at the time. Didn't know who he was or what it was about, but it was sold that it was an ambitious project, that he was putting a lot of money into the club. Starting to spend some money on players, bring a lot more international players in. I think he brought in. I mean, at the time when Roger Guerrero came, I didn't know of him, but he was a Polish national team player, born in Brazil but played for Poland in the Euros. Played for, I think, was it AYIA Athens in Greece, if I'm not mistaken. So he had a big name in that area, with his history and that. So they brought him in, so it looked like they were trying to do the right things and beef up the squad. And, and then the project of building the new locker room, fixing the fields up and so he was trying to do the right things off the field and with him spending money and being ambitious, he was trying to build something long-term. We knew it was going to be a long-term project. There was going to be no immediate success, but I think that year they'd just been promoted back into the top league as well. So, which was exciting to be, to have been part of that. But that's what was sold to myself when joining.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, as you know, there's many players that come to Cyprus from abroad. Mm-hmm. I think one of your teammates, was it Jose Halan, the central midfielder, the Spanish lad? Yeah, he was playing in Canada recently, wasn't he?
I speak to him quite a bunch, man. He was a good dude, Galan. He's one of the most intelligent footballers I've ever met. I always tell him, you should not have been playing football, man. Like he's highly intelligent dude, but wonderful guy. But yeah, he was in Canada for a while. Galan was trying to, I don't know if he's achieved this or not, but I think he grew up in the Atletico Madrid ranks in the academy. So came from good stock and good development program. But he was trying to play on every continent. in the world. I think that was just something he was trying to do. I don't know if he's. I mean, I think he was trying to. I was trying to help him get to Africa at one point, play in South Africa, but I don't know. I put him in touch with P. I don't know if it materialized or not, but he was a good player, man. We all ended up leaving at the time, though, same kind of time, because of what was promised back then was not being delivered, and just there was just a lot of things that were beyond unacceptable. And there was a few of us, Galan, one of them, that ended up leaving. I think Bangura, he left. I think he used to play for Apollon prior to Aris. So there was a bunch of things that were not delivered, that were promised. And for us to leave our countries and to leave a place where we're comfortable, you do that for ambition and to help the club progress and help your career progress as well. So when things like that don't come to fruition, it's disappointing, man.
Well, of course, and you're joining a nation, a club in a nation where you're feeling really comfortable, and it feels like a second home, and you're enjoying it. And we've heard about, even now in big 2023, we're hearing about clubs not being able to pay their players, and even a certain club. This time,
well, listen. People who listen/watch the podcast know how much I've complained about our fucking chairman and what a hole he's turned the club into. But yeah, less said about that right now, the better, because
Oh yeah.
So anti-stress herbal tea.
So like all the Upper World fans, they only talk about when times are good, huh? They don't want to talk about when
exactly.
It's bad.
Yeah. Well, that's everybody, isn't it?
The rest, Aris has been going through it for years and years. So now it's our turn, man. Now it's our turn.
Yeah, of course.
So we can talk now. Yes.
I was the first to congratulate him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes, man. This is true. Well, Roger, I think it's incredible that you still have, this affiliation with the club, and you still speak to some former teammates. There's one guy that I need to ask you about, because he's got the most phenomenal name as a footballer. Matthew Boniface.
Matthew Boniface. He's a Nigerian kid. Born and raised in Nigeria. He lived with me for a while when he moved there, and I used to give him so much shit, man. I'm like, Boniface is like, what's that, Scottish? Or and like, firstly, like your first name Matthew, and your last Boniface. I'm like, my man, you're from Lagos, Nigeria, my boy. Like, what's going on here? Like, we're gonna check your birth certificate or passport here, my man. What's going on? No, but he was a top man. He was a top lad. That's good kid. He was very hungry. He worked hard, man. In the beginning, it was a bit difficult for him to adjust, because I think he joined a couple of months into the season. But just a big old powerful striker, and just disciplined dude. Worked hard, man. Worked hard. Would never come for ice creams with us. Put it that way.
Brilliant. And in terms of members of staff, I know you mentioned the head coach and the president.
Yeah.
But were there any other members of staff that you remember? Because I know that, having spoken to players at clubs, they remember everyone from the kit man to the president. Yeah.
Well, the physio Yorgos was the man. Firstly, because he made us feel good when we weren't. But he would always be the first one to kind of buy a round of drinks on a night out somewhere. He would be the first one to get it going, and he was just, it's like the kit man. He was, after a couple of losses, when the mood's down, he would be one to come in and crack a few jokes, or even at his expense, or whatever the case was, and was just a integral part of a good squad harmony, which is what a lot of fans and people don't know is, they think the captain, or there's a few influential players in the team, which is the case in most parts, but it's usually the kit man or the physio or the fitness coach that are actually the catalysts between, having a good squad harmony and not, which is, I've found with a number of clubs, it's that way. So it's pretty interesting. But Yanni, I lost touch with him. We would chat on WhatsApp until about a year ago when I got this new number. But I consider so many people over there like family, man, just teammates and Yorgos and Yanni, the background staff, just like family. I knew if I landed in Cyprus tomorrow, I would have 10 beds to sleep in. People would be like, welcome in their homes. And and that's what I take away from my experience there was just phenomenal people and relationships built. So I'll take that with me for life.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thasselmoor, you got any questions?
Well, I'm just looking at the table for the season. Obviously, that we were there, and Aris finished 7th, and 2 points off the top 6. So kind of the way that the team worked that season is kind of like what Nel Salamina have done this season. So you must be pretty proud of the achievement, despite not getting into that top 6. You must be pretty proud of that just recently promoted team getting up to
absolutely,
to almost getting into that top 6.
Yeah, no, it was good, and you know, also a testament to the boys is there were some backroom challenges within the organization, which again we kept private. But again, with the harmony of the squad and how close we were, you know, there was a point where we went through a dip, really bad dip. I think at one point we couldn't buy a goal or win, literally. But you know, just kept pushing through, and that's a testament to that squad that year is how close we were, and we would have our own meetings and just, you know, no one else is going to make this right but us. So, I mean, and they did, and even you know, on top of that is where they are now, winning the league now in Europe. You know, as opposed to where, I mean, that wasn't that long ago. What was 7-8 years ago? You know, they were fighting relegation or whatever the case was. They're in Europe now, you know, so it's phenomenal. I'm happy for everyone involved at the club. It's wonderful to see. Wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even though they beat my team to the post, the table doesn't lie. Yes. The best team won the league.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no.
I appreciate it. Well, I say I appreciate it like I did something, but I'm sure it's a great achievement, wonderful achievement. And you know, I saw the coach is only 35 years old. The head coach is a young up and coming coach, which is great, fresh ideas. I'm happy for Mayambela, you know, fellow South African. He's, you know, it's good for him. Yeah, I think there's a Ghanaian boy there as well, you know, so just in terms from the African love and perspective, I'm proud of them, and I know how tough it is, you know, coming over and adapting, and so and just for the squad as a whole, I mean, that's a hell of an achievement, because teams like Upwell, Omonia, Apollon, you know, there's Ike, Larnaca, big clubs, you know, big budgets, whatever the case is, and they're up there with the big boys, you know, punching above their weight. So it's great. It's wonderful. I'm genuinely happy, especially for the people that have been around the club, the fans that have stuck with the club, the background staff that have been through ups and downs with them. You know, coaches come and go, players come and go, but it's those core people that I'm happy for, because I know how much the club means to them, and the joy the wins bring, and the sadness the losses bring. So, you know, it's for those people that my heart goes out to. It's great.
I find it pretty impressive how, despite a lot of the older heads not being part of the club anymore because of the takeover and the new ownership, they're not forgotten.
Yeah.
I know Aris are doing a lot of things with the older players and the founder members of the club.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure after they see this, they'll want to give Roger de Costa a call as well.
Well, I hope so, man, because that club has a very, very soft spot in my heart, and always will, just because of the experiences and friendships and relationships made. Is, you know, in general, if you think in life, football is great. We all love football. As players, we love to play it. Fans love to watch and support. But that ends, and what remains is, you know, is the relationships and the memories. I don't remember. Yeah, you remember games, but if anyone ever asks me my favorite memories while playing, it's the stuff that you did on a team bus or in the hotels or with your team. You know, all the banter is what you always take with you and keep with you. And when I talk to any one of my teammates still today, you know, it's never, hey, remember that tackle you made? No, it's always the malakias you made off the field.
Absolutely. You've learnt some words as well.
Oh
some
man,
words as
yeah. We're gonna keep those under wraps though. None of the good ones.
Wow.
You always learn the bad ones when you go to foreign countries. Why is that?
Wait, specifically in Cyprus though as well.
Yeah.
I don't think you can have a sentence in Cyprus to speak Greek in Cyprus without using a swear word in the sentence.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And
so
what's
Remalaga, it's like you're calling your mate
right.
a wanker, but it's a term of endearment, you know?
Yeah, but that's what I found so interesting is like they would tell me, yeah, between us you can say that, but if you say to a stranger, like it's on, like those are fighting words. I'm like, well, do I say it? Don't I say it? Like, yeah, what are we doing here? Oh man, it was good times, man. Good times. I loved it. I'm actually looking to come back. I think maybe next summer I'll be back coming to visit some of the dudes. So I'll miss it.
Go for it. We'll put you in touch with the club. No problem.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I just got to get off work here. I've got to get my boss to give me some time off. So I'm going to have a chat with Wayne over there.
Well, say to is that your boss's name, Wayne?
Yeah, his name's Wayne. Yeah.
Say, Wayne, we can sort you out tickets for an Aris game.
Yeah.
Come with me.
You would love it, man. You would love it. Yeah, we might do that.
Especially after they won the league. I mean, it's going to be an interesting one. They qualified for they're in the Champions League qualifiers.
Yeah.
And I think was it 2 or 3 rounds before they actually get into the group?
I think it's 2 rounds. So it's not far
It's
off.
not impossible. It's not impossible.
Man,
if they
invest,
Is it the big group now as well, or is that next season?
No, it's the year after. Yeah.
They're making the groups bigger now. The year after.
Well, no, they're basically gonna do like a big 30-team group.
Wow.
They're still only gonna play like 8 or 9 games, but
I got you.
It's
I don't know. You can't keep up with all that. I think now the World Cup coming to the States. It's between 3 different countries, but I think there's going to be more teams now. I think it's not 32 anymore. I think
it's going to be 40.
Yeah, 40, whatever. It's like, sheesh.
It's bonkers.
Money talks, man. Money talks.
Well, I mean, if you're going to have it between 3 countries, you need enough teams to be able to do it.
I'm just hoping the World Cup's the finals here in Dallas. There's talk it's between New Jersey, Dallas, and LA. So I'm hoping Dallas gets it. That'll be good.
Is it the Rose Bowl that's in Dallas?
Cotton Bowl's in Dallas. Rose Bowl's in California. Bowl. Yeah.
But that's where the '94 final was, wasn't it?
At the Rose Bowl, yeah.
Yeah.
But this stadium, I mean, the 3 stadiums that are in contention are, man, you got to see these things in real life. Like, it's monstrous, man. It's like $1.2 billion stadiums. It's mind blowing. And I know Aris has just built a new stadium, right? Or in the process.
It's a stadium that's been built specifically for the football teams in Limassol.
Okay, so like the old Cypriot stadium
so
is now...
the Cypriot was an athletics stadium, so you had the running track around it as well. Whereas this is specifically for football, so the fans are closer to the pitch, so there's a bit more of an atmosphere.
I don't know if that's a good thing in some occasions.
The game I went to, I left early because they started throwing chairs. But anyway,
man, funny you say that. We played against Panionios in preseason. In Athens, and I mean it's a preseason friendly, and there was a little bit of a hard tackle, which can't remember between who, but next thing you know, I was on the bench that game. We played Panathinaikos the game before, so some of us were resting, and next thing you know, you just feel the whole stand rumbling, and the fans have charged down and are throwing coins and bottles, and I'm like, this is a friendly, man. This is a preseason friendly. I'm not sure. I don't know. It was like, yeah.
It's a whole different different thing. But the new stadium, I recommend visiting it.
Yeah.
Whether you support any of those teams or not, it's a good atmosphere. It's not a big stadium. It's only 10,000. So
that's all they need. They'll fill it.
Yeah. I mean, they filled it for the game that I went to, the Abuel versus Apollon game. But that stadium is it's a great stadium.
That's nice. That's great.
Yeah.
It's great. Again, a good step in the right direction for Europe and all that. It's good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, Roger, I was going to ask you what your favorite memories are, but you said earlier that you can't really say too much about the on the field stuff, but in terms of moments off the field with your teammates, whether it be a bonding session or whether it be just a drinking session. Is there anything that really stands out the most? That when you think of Aris or when you think of Cyprus, is it this one moment that always plays in your mind?
It would be AYIA NAPA, man. AYIA NAPA would be. We would.
Say less.
We would take trips to AYIA NAPA. It always started with just Nisi Beach and just going to chill at the beach, and then ended up having to book a hotel room because we had one too many Kios. It was Kia Uzo, and remember that stuff. Oh my God! Now the memories are coming back.
No, Zivania and KYPROS.
Zivania, yeah. And then KYPROS, another fun thing we used to do most Sundays, or when we weren't playing, is go KYPROS. We used to call him our little village boy because his family lived up in the mountains, and we would go most Sundays. And his dad would like cook for us, and our little group would go and just hang out, and it was beautiful up there. Some fun memories up there with his dad and with his family, which was great. Being invited into his home, that was the real Cypriot, and that was a real experience with there was not in Limassol where you were the footballer, you were out in just with no one cared who you were out there, and it was a good time, man. Fun memories of that.
So, like Drodos would be the mountains where a lot of people go to, especially during Easter, and have their barbecues and everything.
Yeah, it was too good, man. The food was unbelievable. Oh my God, it was so good. So yeah, man, it was good times.
We're giving him the memories now. He's gonna think about packing it in and going to live in Cyprus again.
Straight back. And what was that? Saripolu Square. We had some good little evenings. We had some good little evenings over there as well. All the bars and that square was a good time, man. It was a good time. We didn't know. We thought we were big timing, back then. We're Aris players, we thought we were playing for Real Madrid. Meantime, back then we were like nobodies, compared to, I think, IL, and IL was the big club back then. So we'd walk around like we were big deals. Meantime, it was nobody wanted to know our business back then.
Wow, mate, it's incredible. Yeah. Well, Roger, look, I've really enjoyed it. We've enjoyed your time on this pod. I hope we can do something again, man.
Boys, I'm always down. Yeah, I'm always down, and I appreciate you guys having me. It's been a blast from the past, man.
Yeah, we need to get you on a week review. We'll have a look at the matches.
Mate, I'm in. I'm in. You say I play. You say I play.
Okay. Cracks knuckles.
Yeah, he's in.
Brilliant.
I love it.
Excellent. Well, before we wrap it up, thank you to our sponsors, Project 365. If you want to get your car wrapped and custom made in Nicosia, Roger, if you're going to go to live in Cyprus, go to Project 375. Sorry, 375. I got it wrong. I got the sponsor wrong. 357. 357. I'm ill. I'm ill.
Project 357. Project 357. Sorry. Project there you go. Yeah, there you go.
I'll be like Bart Simpson writing the lines. I will get it. Project 357. Sorry.
Needless to say, I'll get it wrapped. Move to Cyprus. I'm going straight to Project 357. We're in.
There you go. There you go. Clip it.
Bloody hell, Jesus! I told you I'm ill. I'm letting that. I've been doing podcasts all week. So yeah. Anyway, thank you to everyone tuning in. We'll be back very, very soon. We're on Twitter and on Instagram at This Is Mappa. Fussers on at Flares Cafes. And as I keep saying, the season might be done, but the content keeps on coming. We've got more interviews, more stuff happening, because this is Cyprus. It never ends.